Snoopy needs no introduction, but just in case, he's Charlie Brown's pet beagle and has become one of the most iconic characters in Charles M. Schulz's Peanuts comic strip, which evolved into animated cartoons, movies, and even video games. The Peanuts comic strip started way back in 1950 and ran for almost 50 years, ending in early 2000 when Schulz passed away. Today's game, Snoopy's Silly Sports Spectacular, is based on the British home computer game Alternative World Games, released on the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum, and Amstrad CPC in 1987. Kemco ported the game to the NES but used the Peanuts license to include Snoopy's likeness. Since Kemco had the rights to Disney characters in Japan and Capcom held the Disney license in North America, Kemco replaced Snoopy with Donald Duck for the Japanese release and simply titled that game Donald Duck. Anyway, what's up with this game? So, Snoopy flies off to Italy for some silly sports. You can choose between single-player and two-player modes. Select mode lets you pick the sport you want to compete in a one-off competition, while in total mode, you compete in each event in succession. If you choose two-player mode, player 1 is always Snoopy and player 2 is Spike, essentially Snoopy with a mustache. Fun fact, Spike was the name of Charles M. Schulz's childhood dog on which he based Snoopy to begin with. Anyway, let's start with Sack Race. Here you must defeat your opponent by hopping left or right on the screen. You can press up and down to dodge the manholes. If you get too far behind, Woodstock will come up and give you a boost. And even if you get ahead of the AI, Woodstock will give them a push as well. Not exactly fair, but whatever. Just tap A bunch and dodge manholes. Simple enough. Next, you throw a boot. Yeah, this is what they came up with for this. Reminiscent of caveman games where you throw your cave mate, here at least there are no victims. Rotate the D-pad counterclockwise and press A when you want to release the boot. There are only 3 distances the boot can go, 30 feet, 15 feet, or no feet. A fairly limited event. 2 players take turns here and the longest cumulative distance of 2 throws determines the victor. Next is the Pogo event. Here it only matters how many bars out of 4 you pogo over, but as soon as you fail on one, you're done. Press A at just the right time to clear the bars. It takes a little getting used to, but if you time your jump just before you get to the bar, you should clear all 4 no problem. Player with the most bars cleared wins. The next event is the least predictable and most frustrating. You basically run at your opponent while on a gondola of sorts and press A when close to them to shove them overboard. It's not as easy as you'd think though. The boat is also rocking, so you have to pay attention and press up and down to counterbalance the boat. The AI isn't exactly easy to defeat, but in 2-player mode it can actually be a little interesting in that who knows who will win because the physics don't make any sense. The next event is called Pile of Pizza, where some monster took a stack of pizzas out of their boxes, piled them high and dared a dog not to drop them on the ground. Anyway, you have just over a minute to walk as orderly as possible without dropping any pizzas. Slow and steady wins this race, but it's painfully tedious and nothing is worse than almost making it to the end and seeing your stack of delicious pizzas topple onto the ground. You can actually get more points if you just sprint to the end with total disregard for your pizzas, but are you a psychopath? One nice touch here is that you're carrying a leaning tower of pizzas, while the leaning tower of Pisa is off in the distance. This might be the neatest part of the game, to be honest. The player to reach the end the quickest and with the most pizzas wins. The last event is River Jump. This one is the least intuitive of all of them, but once you figure it out, it's pretty simple. Essentially, you tap A to run toward the river. When you're almost in the water, press and hold B to thrust the pole into the water, and release B when you're nearly vertical to sail over to the other side. So again, tap A, press and hold B, release B, you nailed it. There are no points or anything. You either make it across or you drown a cute beagle. It's up to you. If you play the game single player, at the end you get a point total and it asks you if you want to play again. The only impetus here is to see if you can outpoint yourself. If you play 2-player though, the point totals carry over and you can continue to play the events over and over trying to outdo your opponent. That's really the only chance this game has at being fun for anyone is if you use it to square off against your friends, maybe to settle a disagreement or because all your other games stopped working. The events are too easy against the computer and almost too limited to be fun against a friend. At least caveman games had some comedic elements to the events where this is just, well, boring. A game meant for smaller kids, sure, but even by that standard, it's not exceptional, and even events like Pogo, Overboard, or even River Jump are probably too tricky for kids to really enjoy. Oh well. If you do like the Peanuts gang and want more classic games featuring Snoopy and the other characters, you could check out Snoopy Tennis on the Game Boy Color. It looks good, has a decent character selection, and plays pretty well. There's also Snoopy's Magic Show on the original Game Boy. In that one you play as Snoopy and solve basic puzzles to collect Woodstocks while avoiding a bouncing ball. A game that didn't require the Peanuts license, but not a complete waste of time either. It's okay. There are other Commodore 64 games featuring Snoopy, but none are great. I should say these had ports on other home computer systems as well, but the Commodore 64 versions are shown here. There's Snoopy and the Red Baron, where you hover with your ears and shoot something at a red baron. It's lame. And there's one simply titled Snoopy, where you go left to right and jump over obstacles. It's slow and awkward, as you might expect, but hey, Snoopy's in it. Lastly, there is a Japanese-only Famicom game called Snoopy Concert. It's a collection of mini-games featuring Peanuts characters, and seems simple enough to not require knowing any Japanese to play. It looks pretty good too. Well, that does it for Snoopy's Sports Spectacular. Leave your pizzas in the box if you're going to carry them around like that, and thanks for watching.